What are you doing?
I'm talking to
Hey, no, what are you doing?
What do you want? Ask a question.
Hey, no, what are you doing?
What do you want? Ask a question. Ask a question. What does it feel like? What does it feel like?
What feel like?
To lose. You know, first, I wake up naked, covered in blood. No idea what happened. And over time, I started to remember.
All narcissists cycle through grandiosity and vulnerability. When they cycle through vulnerability, it's because the bad superego injunction has taken over, it's activated. So there's a part of themselves that is now activated and switched on and said, you're not amazing, you are awful, you are terrible. My life as a narcissist is a constant, anxious battle to run away from any data that tells me I'm awful. So I lean grandiosely into this, the delusion that I am amazing. I recruit people, I create scenarios, I coerce people, I manipulate situations to get as much of that feedback as possible. So I am creating my own false reality, gaslighting myself and telling myself that is reality. Does that make sense?
If we make it conscious, it can be far more beneficial to us because we can direct it in the right way. But we start to pick things up and adjust our behavior, adjust our tastes to mirror the people around us. We might think, I don't do that. I'm independent. I don't do what anyone else does. But if you look at the way we dress, we change the way we dress as we get older according to fashion. So you probably wouldn't wear the same type of jeans now as you did when you're 18. And you don't consciously think, when did that happen? When did I make that decision? It's a case of just going along and fitting in with what's going on around us.
I want to come back to that notion of what we're aware of consciously and what we aren't aware of consciously in a second. But if I can just revisit another point that you made there about, by your own admission, you chose the wrong people to mirror.
Narcissists hurt people that they can't stand to listen to. Truth hurts. And when they hurt you because they can't stand to listen to you, they hurt you so that you'll become quiet. And they'll hurt you so bad that when you think about saying something to them, telling them the truth, you'll regret either thinking about it because you're like, oh, I don't want that pain again. So they hurt people to get you to be quiet. And you'll be quiet because you become smaller. And you become smaller because you just want to help them. And you go, okay, I'll settle. There's a lot of good people out here, men and women, that are dealing with people like me that have not been treated. So you can't even stop them from hurting you because when they hurt you, they can't stand to hear the truth. Because every time you tell them the truth, they see you as somebody that's trying to hurt them. Or, in all actuality, somebody is better than them. So they will keep you quiet so that they can keep you under control so that you don't feel like you want to lose them. And you hold on.
Because the narcissist is like this. Listen, they seeing it like this. I don't care how many lies I have to tell on you, because guess what? At the end of the day, I got to look like I'm controlling this narrative, and I got to look like I'm the one that's the victim, not you. Let's be clear. But at the end of the day, also, I need you to bring your little self right on back over here and take some more of this abuse and whatever else I got for you, because guess what? You basically aborted the mission way before I was done with you. That's what this clown is saying. I mean, these backwards walking giraffes have the immediate gall to ask you why you left.
One of the most common and damaging tactics is known as flying monkeys. We've all heard of flying monkeys if we have seen The Wizard of Oz. So as it relates to narcissism, these are the people who are used and manipulated by narcissists into doing their bidding, doing their dirty work. Part of the dirty work is to spread rumors, slander, false information about the narcissist victim. They can also be used to cyberbully and harass the victim.
They'll threaten to be with somebody else, or they absolutely will be with somebody else and just use somebody else as a placeholder to try to manipulate you. They'll absolutely move on or use a new supply that they really don't want to be with and start love bombing a new supply in order to try to make you jealous in an act of desperation. It's a horrible, horrible thing to do. It's a horrible thing to put somebody through, the new supply and you as well. But don't fall for it, y'all. If they're with a new supply and they're still trying to hug on you and kiss on you, it's an act of desperation to try to keep some type of access to you, to try to manipulate you. Do not fall for it. I know it's easier said than done, y'all, but y'all gotta look. You gotta have some mental fortitude. You have to have discipline.
Beware of a narcissist flying monkeys. Flying monkeys are people that are subscribed to the narcissist reality and carry out their messaging. They're on the narcissist team. So whether they are helping spread the narcissist smear campaign, or maybe we've gone no contact with the narcissist, and whether it's a family member or a romantic relationship with a narcissist, the flying monkey may say to us, hey, so-and-so isn't that bad, and they'll do the narcissist's bidding and communicate to us through the flying monkey. The flying monkey commits abuse by proxy. Now remember this, anyone who is still friendly with people who have abused us in the past, they are no friend of ours. And we have to remember this. If we have to be in contact with the flying monkey, they will report back to the narcissist everything we say.
I think it's just about, a mentality, in my opinion, just, how to take your lumps in life, you know what I mean? Because you're gonna take your L's, you're gonna have your ups and downs. So just a philosophy or a point of view on how to look at the journey.
The gang gonna test you, you know what I mean? The gang, everything gonna test you if it's worthwhile.
Words is powerful, the ability to articulate. You could really impact people.
You used to getting treated a certain way, you used to getting received a certain way, and then you step back.
All your extra time, I put it towards your craft. You can't just go to the movies and play basketball and do all these different things and still focus on that. If you're trying to break through, you gotta focus, like that's all you do.
What is FEAR? F-E-A-R. It's an abbreviation for what? False evidence that appears real. So we all get fear, and fear is what stops us. There's nothing else that can literally stop you. It's only fear, because if you don't have the answer, we can get the answer. If we don't have the skill, we can get the skill. So fear is what stops us, and let me just save us a lot of time. The first thing you need to understand is there's only two real fears. The feeling of being not enough. Not rich enough, not young enough, not smart enough, not sexy enough, not funny enough. It's a pretty horrible feeling, isn't it? Especially if you feel like you're not enough for someone you love, whose love you crave. When we feel like we're not enough for someone we love, it makes us crazy, because it brings up the second deepest fear. And what is that? We're afraid that if we're not enough, that we won't be loved. And love, my friends, is the oxygen of life.
Stop strategizing so much. Stop setting so many plays. Stop doing things only based in fear.
You learn a lot from doing things perfect. You learn a lot from things that could be considered a mess up or a screw up. Mistake. They say from a mistake. Not an L, it's a lesson.
Like, the universe will assist you when you are acting in love. I tweeted this thing where I said, when you're acting in love, you're like a drop of water and you have the ocean as your army.
Hey people, how you doing? So where have I been? Well, I decided to kick back and watch people play their games and just heal and build. When you're seen as rebellious or nonconformist, or people have decided to paint me with a character based off this, based off times where I've been rebellious or done wrong, it's easy to keep doing that, to keep pushing and projecting images onto myself. And me not realizing what I did was I said, you know what, I'm not perfect, so I just left people to chat. I just left them. Also, I'm a kind of person where whatever. And the thing is, when you're in a situation where you are always dragged, it's really, it makes you unafraid in a lot of ways, or it makes you make yourself small, which I have done at times. But really, I thought of others over myself. And the thing is, it's taught me that manipulation is the name of the game. And we're being manipulated every day and we don't realize it. What I would like to say is, it's now in legal hands. And so I can't say too much on the matter. But what I would like to do is thank the few people that have come forward and told me certain things that have been going on for decades. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the honesty that at the time you did nothing about it. And that's okay, because at least you aren't like a lot of people who say things have nothing to do with them, but they are proxy abusers because they like to spread gossip rather than come to the source. And so this channel, from here forward, is about us really addressing manipulation. It's coming out these days as narcissism. And if you used to watch the glow-ups and the previous videos, you hear me speak about it and my conditioning and not realizing that the basis of it was narcissism. And now you've got celebrities admitting, like Nick Cannon, that he's narcissistic. And to be honest, all of us, our whole society, as I'd said at the time, is shaped on this narcissistic personality disorder, and all the apps that we've got that help us to portray ourselves in a certain light, only in a positive light mainly, you know, and to be worshipped. But most of all, I think the biggest tool of manipulation is fear. And the fear of self is probably the greatest one of all.
The term brainwashed, what we're really talking about is coercive control, which is the kind of control that operates from the inside out. Essentially, someone's mind has been taken over by someone else, and their beliefs are used to control them from the inside out. Essentially, like your own thoughts and beliefs are now in line with the person trying to control you.
You are becoming better, and you have become better. And you got folks who still want to hang that past over your head. They want to dangle it over your head as though they just can't let it go. You know, what's kind of funny to me sometimes is that sometimes people remember your past a lot more than you do. That's what's funny to me. Or they have a harder time letting your past go than you do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here chilling, not even thinking about certain things, and then somebody will just bring up something from like 25 years ago, and you're like, what? Like, what the hell you got doing? What business do you have bringing that up? Like, why? Something that you did a long time ago that they still want to hang over your head. Now, let me tell you what that is. That's nothing but pure jealousy. That's all that is, man. People who got time to do shit like that want to hang your past over your head, that's because they are jealous of your progression. They don't want to acknowledge your progression as to, you know, how far you've come. They don't want to acknowledge where you're at right now. They want to talk about something you did a long time ago in order to make others see you in a bad light and to make you hang your head low over mistakes you made in the past. Don't worry about people like that. You know what? When you encounter folks like that, separate yourself from them. Feed them with a long handle spoon, because those are folks who don't want to see you grow, man.
No to Oprah Winfrey. I said no to Tyler Perry. I said no to Lee Daniels. And I said no to Lionsgate. We got labeled as difficult because I said one word, and that was no. Now, I said no to some very powerful people. Tyler Perry called us up, only for Tyler Perry to admit he did start a rumor that I was difficult to work with. He lied. Kat said, you let them people lie in your face. Well, we sent you the audio of Tyler Perry. I don't want you to take me at my word. I want you to hear his words. What did you hear that man saying?
He said it.
What did he say?
You know you're not supposed to be recording people.
Everything we did was legal. But did you hear what the man said? I violated you.
Yeah.
I mistreated you.
Yeah.
Do you know, Shannon, that's cost my family tens of millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Over a lie and a rumor?
Some narcissists will start a smear campaign against you and still stay with you. They don't have the intent on leaving you. And of course, if you're new here, I'm actually a diagnosed narcissist. Not every single narcissistic person that starts a smear campaign or starts spreading rumors and lies about you and things like that has the intent on leaving you. Some narcissistic people employ this smear campaign as a weapon to get people to feel sorry for them, as a weapon to self-victimize themselves, falsely self-victimize themselves, because the smear campaign is composed of lies and rumors and, half-truths and falsities. They can use this smear campaign to get people to feel sorry for them and maybe start an affair. Like if I go to work and just like, oh, my wife is horrible, she just treats me terribly, and then another person overhears that, oh, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? Do I? Like, I'm getting treated horribly at home. I just wish there was a better person out there for me. I don't know what to do.
Narcissists can act very healthy until they're triggered. And it's those triggers that reveal their true colors. They can no longer hide their deeper stuff once they get triggered. The masks come away and they come out. So some of the main triggers for a narcissist are perceived rejection. So if you reject them or say no to them, watch out. Not getting what they want, not getting enough attention, you're not feeding me enough, or anything that messes with their image. So what happens if they don't get what they want or they get triggered? Usually they go to anger, and then they get cruel, abusive, they lash out, they say extremely hurtful things, and they can be very destructive.
And we see that playing out with the situation with Diddy, don't we? You see, Cassie had to think long and hard, I'm sure, about letting the cat out the bag. And also, in this situation, I can imagine that Diddy used a lot of manipulation, which is, again, to expose her in a compromising situation. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants their deepest, darkest secrets being exposed to the entire world. But you see, really, why these people behave the way they do is because they've got more to hide than anybody else. That's why they set up groups. That's why they have collectives of the low vibrational council who pick at other people, who set up cousin groups, because really, the head is normally the one that has the most to hide. People often lead with this statement that nobody's perfect, then proceed to cast the first stone. Remember the whole thing with Chris and Rihanna? And from back in the day, I said, she did something, You ask somebody I said it to, that's how, yeah, she did. And it's taken like decades for people to hear the other side of the story. And yeah, Chris did what he did, but that has followed him around for the rest of his life. And then we don't talk about the other side. We don't talk about the fact that he was willing to take that bully so that Rihanna wouldn't be embarrassed. And then we don't talk about the third party, or we just started to. And nobody comes back and says, oh, you know what, I was wrong. Isn't that funny? I mean, be serious. You think out of the whole of Hollywood, Diddy is the only guilty party. But they're jumping on aeroplanes for what then?
You think Puff is cooked? I'm not sure if he's cooked. When we think of all of those different allegations that pile up, he's cooked.
Right.
But I don't know how much of that turns into actually like what he's up against.
Right. The court of public opinion is one thing.
Yeah.
And then they also say, once we get in, then,
Yeah. I mean, that public opinion, he's washed. He's washed. Yeah. They washed him.
Jay-Z and Diddy and a teenager, 13-year-old teenager.
Right.
What did you feel about just that whole thing, man?
As much as people feel like I haven't had issues with Puff. I don't like him like that. Like, I don't like things that he would do. But Jay definitely not that. I hope things are all right for him internally. Because in the statement they mentioned his daughter would, being old enough to, because she about 13.
Right.
So it's the same age as his kids, what you saying he did. We live in a climate that it's not even what you did. It's what they said you did.
Right.
Right? So it's like the damage is already done by the allegation itself.
If you let people decide who you are, you will never reach your full potential. Someone sat me down one day in front of a group of people, and I think it was to embarrass me. And they said that I bullied them from childhood. And I said, okay, when did this happen? And when we dissected the story, turned out that none of what they said was true. And in fact, they were the aggressor. And then they asked me at the end, well, why did I do what I did? I said, I don't know. You'd have to ask yourself and the party involved. Now I wonder, did they double back and say to people, what I've been saying about her for all these decades wasn't true? And then also, I think, because they told themselves that they were bullied, what effect did that have on their psyche and their development and who they are now as an adult? I watched this film called Clickbait a couple of weeks ago, and it really demonstrates how people behave, just human nature in general, especially when somebody is being exposed for some wrongdoing. You've got people taking the situation as entertainment or using it to garner attention, lying, all kind of crazy behavior. What was really apparent is how many people hide their vulnerabilities, how many people project, how many people just want to be loved. But most of all, how much we define ourselves based on the opinions of others. One of the major aspects of manipulation is control. Controlling the narrative, controlling you, controlling how people view you or view them, and they don't have any control over themselves. And the thing is, all of this affects you anatomically, biologically. Most people that go through this deal with anxiety, which makes you live in a defensive mode or survival mode. Also, the ability to think straight, because these people convince you sometimes that something happened when it never, or they add things on top of something that did happen, but they mix it with something else. And then your ability to trust yourself is diminished. It happens over time. But once you put yourself in the position to think clearly, you can change the situation. Here's the thing, people always say people can't change. Apparently, that is biologically and scientifically a lie. With all of the advances in medical science, they can analyze the brain now, and they're saying that every thought that you have creates a neural pathway. And so also creates a loop, which is why often when you try to make a change, because you're used to thinking a certain way, you just keep going back in this loop. But the great thing is that every time you create a new thought, you create a new neural pathway. And so when you put yourself in the ability to do that, you come out of what they call beta, which is stress and planning. And then you go into this cool and calm, collective state of thinking or being. Often, like when you do meditation or maybe you're praying, in simple terms, it's basically living in the present instead of ruminating, which you do when you've been through abuse, because you're trying to understand what on earth happened to you, why you made certain decisions, why didn't you leave, why didn't you speak up for yourself, why don't people believe me? But you have to get to this point where you only think about the present, because to be honest, you can't become the person you want to be around the same people, especially when people sat out idly by, especially if people didn't speak up for you, especially if people didn't believe you. You cannot heal and become this new person because they don't want you to be. They've bought into the lie, or they've bought into who you were before. Honestly, it's nobody's business, and it's not up to anybody else to decide who you are. That's on you. So, do you in it? Anyway, thank you for getting this far in the video. Subscribe, tell your mates. And also, I'd like to remind you, I speak on another side, which is on all that's holy, the manipulation in religion. And so look out for that too. In the bio below will also be the link to the book, Why Don't You Just Glow Up? It's still available on Amazon. Because I think you really learn about yourself when you start to have romantic relationships, you know, and it's more of a journal, so you can be aware of the things that people say to you, which is really to coerce you to become part of codependency or an abusive dynamic. Anyway, I'm out. Love.
Players I played, you know I'm mainly, and I get in your veins, What? Why you not over me? Not even with her, she. See, I just wanted loyalty, honestly.